Welcome back to the Sales Revolution. I'm Ingrid Maynard, founder and managing director of The Sales Doctor. I'm joined today by Valentina Coyne. Now, it's going to break my heart to call her Val, but for shortness and brevity, we're going to call her Val. Oh, what a beautiful name, Valentina. Let me tell you a little bit about Val. Val and her team help leaders in service industries build future-proofed systems for scale and growth through proven principles and human-centered design. Specialising in change management, operational excellence, and a people-first adoption, the Viya team turn complexity into clarity and make digital transformation feel practical, human, and surprisingly empowering, which is really what it should be, to be honest. Now, originally from Italy and now based in Queensland's Sunshine Coast, Val brings warmth, curiosity, and a European passion for the fine details, connecting dots others might just miss. Welcome, Val.
Thank you so much for having me, Ingrid. What an intro.
Oh, it is. It's very apt. It's very apt. I mean, even from our first conversation, just, I'm keen to explore your approach as we get into it, because you do really, really make it feel empowering. So before we get there, though, I wanted to just first of all say to you, Val, that I'm in love with everything Italian. I'm just putting it out there. Okay. What on earth made you leave Italy to come to the other side of the world, to Australia?
Whenever we get asked that question, and I say we because it's myself and my husband, yes, we always answer the weather. Right. The weather. We live in the tropics. It's sunny. We have summer 10 months a year. And we have pretend winter 2 months a year. I always say, I didn't sign up for seasons. That's why we moved to Australia.
Right. I imagine, though, that there are parts of Italy that are just as beautiful. And some of those, like that we were talking before about the Tuscany region. And then you've got San Remo.
They're stunning.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, Ingrid, I now get to enjoy them as a tourist. So I'm getting the best of both worlds here.
You are. Absolutely you are. And you can go over there and, spend some time there. You know the lay of the land. You know all the good spots to go to. You're not going to waste any time like normal tourists. And then you get to come back here and live in beautiful Sunshine Coast.
Yeah. I think, as a matter of fact, I think I might have seen more Italy since moving to Australia 13 years ago than when I was in Italy, because it's there, right? Yes. It's always there, so we rarely go.
It's so true. I think Australians are guilty of that too. We're really good travellers. We love to go overseas and sort of wander around, but we don't really investigate our backyard. And there's so much of this country, which is so huge, to actually explore. But I think we're all guilty of doing a little bit of that, Val.
I'm in good company.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, tell us about your business. I'm interested for you to say the bits that you shared with me that day when we had that initial conversation. What it does, what made you create it, and how you serve your customer base.
Yeah. So, listen, a lot of business leaders are really wanting to do the best they can for their business and for their teams. And the answer that they get to is technology. Technology is an enabler, and we all love technology. But what we have come to discover through our journey, my husband and I, is that just focusing on the technology doesn't answer the question entirely. And so in a previous life, I'll talk about two of them. In a previous life together with my husband, we were leading a company developing software. So we were fully and squarely on the tech side of the equation, and we built amazing technology. And the team that I was leading was delivering amazing training and amazing account management and supporting all of our clients. And yet something was missing. And the technology was great and the businesses were very good and they invested in that technology. So what was missing? And in our perspective, what was missing was the fit, making the technology actually fit the human and actually fit the business that it was purchased for. So the reason why we started Viya is that the shiny object just isn't enough. And we see it every day with the AI these days, right? If we ignore the people side and if we ignore the process and the intentional strategically designing business systems to serve the people, and not just for the sake of tech, we are missing so much richness in our business journey, and we are not really getting the return from the investment that we desire. And so the approach we decided to take is, I call it a three-legged stool. It's very, very famous. I haven't invented it. It's process, people, and technology. Okay. And as we know, a three-legged stool, if you only try to sit it on one leg, aka the technology, it's going to fall down. Yes. So we need three very solid pillars. And to bring on the previous one of my previous lives, to us, all of this is in service of an experience. Most business leaders, again, will think about customer experience. I think it's on everybody's lips. We live in the experience economy, all of that, beautiful. But let's also make sure we provide our staff and our teams and our partners and our providers an experience. So people, process, and technology create a business system, a strategic business system in service of an experience. And that element comes from my very first previous life, which was in Italy, as we mentioned, working in the hospitality and events management sector, where I learned this concept of providing an experience and being a host for someone. So it all came together rather beautifully.
I really love how you really focus on, the fit for the business, the fit for the human, rather than the other way around. And that requires a deep understanding of the technology and a deep understanding of what the goals and challenges of the business really are. And when we had our first catch up, you communicated that so beautifully, and you have today as well, that it really made me think, just even the way that it wasn't even just what you said, it was how you said it that rang so true. I can imagine that the process that you take people through makes them feel really cared for. And I know that, that's something that, we kind of connected over and it really resonated with me. I mean, these days, and look, I'm a really big fan of AI. I love it. But it seems to me, Val, that there are a lot of experts, calling themselves AI experts, calling themselves futurists and, technology futurists, business futurists, popping up everywhere. And all they are is really 1 to 2 steps ahead of their client base. So they sound like experts when compared to people that really don't know what they don't know. But they kind of fall short when it comes to helping clients, and I fall into this category as well, into helping them select AI that enables their business processes or even augments the customer experience. You must come up against this time and time again. What do you say to people like me when they're saying, well, I'm speaking to this person and I'm speaking to you as well? Where do you find that you have the biggest differentiation?
I think I was actually having that similar conversation with my husband the other day. There's an AI expert and an AI event everywhere. And to a degree, that is also the power of marketing. We love marketing. So it's the power of marketing. What attracts attention then creates a platform for the expert to talk about their expertise and their approach. So on the one side, I understand why it's happening. On the other, there is a little bit of a danger in that because AI is powerful, but it's not a magic wand. Just layering AI on top of a shaky business system it's just turbocharging, it's putting a monkey in a Ferrari and just flattening the accelerator, right?
Quotable quote, monkey in a Ferrari. I love that.
Monkey in a Ferrari, that's the image that's now in everyone's mind. I think you said it, Ingrid. It's the part of the key is to make sure that the tool is aligned with a company's business goals, culture, and the way we work in our business. And sometimes that is lacking. It's that, again, focusing on the technology pillar and forgetting about the other two. From our perspective, the way we see it at Viya is AI is just another piece of software. Yes, it plays by different rules. Yes, it has different pros and cons and different strengths and weaknesses, but it still follows the same guidelines to a degree. But you need to be strategic. It can't be tech for the sake of tech. One of the ways that I explain it is, if you think about it as imagine a continuum, and on the one side you have a human. Now, humans have high discernment. They can deal with a lot of complexity. They have a lot of creativity. On the other side of the continuum, you have a machine, and a machine is it's your traditional programming. If this, then that.
Yes.
Or an actual physical machine that you would find in a factory that makes a mechanical, repetitive movement, no exceptions, no discernment, no spark. It just follows the process, right?
Yes.
AI, to a degree, sits somewhere in the middle, where it has some potential for creativity, but not quite as much as a human. It can't quite discern situation, but it can make inferences based on the context and patterns that it can find. Okay. So when I think about AI and AI experts, one of the things that they are missing, in my opinion, is that there is so much focus on the short term. What's in front of me? What's this new shiny object? Like with any other technology, what can it do for me? Yeah. But we're not slowing down and asking ourselves, yes, we can do it with AI, but should we? Yeah. And that, to me, is a much more powerful question to ask.
That's an interesting perspective, actually. Yes, we could do this with AI, but should we? I wonder how many people are actually asking themselves that question, and then, contemplating, okay, if we don't, what happens? And if we do, what happens? And what are the risks either way? Can you walk us through your process? Because I suspect that it's the way that you engage with your client base that really sets both of you up for success, because the how you said it about the three-legged stool and understanding their people, process, and then the technology that's the augmenter or the enhancer. Yes. Talk us through how you would engage with without giving away your IP, but how you would engage with it with a new client that enables you to understand those elements and helps them to clarify in their own minds where their priorities need to lie.
Yeah, beautiful way to phrase it, Ingrid. I really love it. You're already setting me up for success here. So typically businesses come to us in a few different positions. We have what we call our ER clients, and they might be either in the middle of a digital transformation, in the middle of implementing a software, or something's just changed in their vendor landscape. So maybe they were using a really old software platform that's being decommissioned in the space of, we've had one that was decommissioned in the space of 3 weeks. That was a bit hectic, but typically it's over 6 or 12 months. And so they might come to us in a very reactive state. Either something just failed or it's about to, and they need help. And with them, we kind of fast track the journey a little bit to really get them to a place where they can be they can breathe easier, and then we can have the proactive conversation. And then we have our favorite kind of clients, which are the proactive ones, and come to us saying, all right, we've either done this before and it hasn't gone very well, or we know this is coming and we want to do it the right way. Yes. And so we start with a diagnostic. And think about it in terms of we get them to slow down so we can speed up later. We have to truly understand what makes the business tick. Where is really the knowledge in this business? Because often, sometimes consultants engage with the C-level of a business, with your leadership team, with the board, maybe even. But sometimes the true knowledge isn't in the person that's holding the seat. It's the person that pulls it all together when things hit the fan, right? So we really need to figure out who that person is for each business and absorb enough of their knowledge for us to be able to then fully understand that business. And so that's why I say we run a diagnostic. Where is the business? Where does it want to go from a leadership team's perspective? And then how do each of the moving parts, we think about it like a map.
Yes.
And so we can get a bird's eye view of this business operating like a board game almost. So what are all the players in this board game? What are all the different locations and areas and departments in this board game responsible for? Yes. Where are the friction points and the heat points? Is there any duplication? Where are the clients being let down, or where are the jobs falling through the cracks? And so first we map all of that. And that would sit in our process pillar, if you will. So we analyze, we map what does success look like, how are we measuring it, what does the org chart look like, all of those bits and pieces. Yeah. Then the next part is to really go and design this new system. And at the same time, typically we do this in together at the same step, really engage and gather the perspectives of different peoples in the organization, different roles, different seniority levels. Yes. And through that process, we not only as an external consultant design their new system, but we co-design it together with them. Because that's another beautiful piece of change management in disguise. Yeah. If your people are part of the process, you would know this, right? I can see this is resonating.
It really is, yeah.
If you bring your people and really co-design the process with them,
yes,
then they're going to be advocates for you, and they're going to jump on the bus and be happy to be on the bus instead of being dragged along.
Yes. One of the things that I love about what you're saying, I mean, it's smart, it's psychology 101, around, getting that buy-in, that sense of ownership, that sense that this is our program, because the truth is it is anyway. But the thing that I really love about what you've recognised and the way that you work is that you said that, you engage across lots of levels in an organisation rather than just looking at the C-suite, the ELT, the board, or even the senior leadership team. You're actually thinking about, okay, who's going to be using this on a day-to-day basis? Because if it's not fit for purpose, it's going to get fed back up the chain anyway. And the person who's that decision maker, which I really bugs me when people say that decision maker. I mean, increasingly, decisions about buying things like what we do, comes down now to a cohort of people anyway. Mm-hmm. But let's just say it goes back up to the decision maker. They're going to feel, terrible about the decision to go ahead, when they get bad feedback from the users. And on the other, if you contrast it on the other hand too, if the user loves it, and says, this is the best thing, this is what, this is how it's changed my life, then that's a great opportunity then for you to go back in and grow that footprint, even further and more deeply in the organisation, I'd imagine.
100%. Yeah. And you'll notice so far, we have not spoken about tech yet. And that's the magic. No, but it truly is. Tech needs to come last, because if we start from it, we're going about it all wrong. So first we need to put all these little magic bits and pieces in place. And part of the challenge is sometimes really leveling with a leader who's coming to us. And it's part of our process. We run a half-a-day workshop and then the diagnostic, because we need to have a leader in front of us that either is on the same page or is willing to be on the same page. They might not be there yet, but they need to be willing to listen and be shown through little steps that actually there is value in slowing down. Because once we get to the technology, once we put all this in place and we get to matchmaking, implementation and optimization, it's going to flow so beautifully because we took the time to do this earlier.
Yes.
So that just makes me happy. And it doesn't always happen, and that's okay. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and they are not a fit for us. The matchmaking is also quite fun, in our opinion. I think every vendor out there has a thorough dislike for requests for RFPs, requests for proposal, requests for pricing, demos, and we have our own way to go about software demos. We try to, again, swap the rules a little bit and put the client in the driver's seat rather than the software vendor in the client seat. So we want them to play by our rules. And we want, of course, they want to highlight their product in the best possible light. It's their job. Our job is to support our clients to really understand, is this platform going to solve my business requirements? Not just a tick boxing exercise. Does it have a reporting functionality? Yes, tick, done. No. Wait. How? Which are the top 3 reports that we need? Do they come out in the right format, or do they give us the right insight that we need? And we accomplish a lot of that through the use of use cases. Very powerful tool. I don't mind giving it away. People, please do more use cases. Thank you very much. Yes. Which forces the vendor to tell you a story of how their platform will work for you.
Right.
Not just click here, click here, click here.
Yeah.
So that's an example of what I mean by switching taking control of the reins and being in the driver's seat a little bit more. And then once we do find the match, and it's a little bit like matchmaking, it's a little bit like finding the right life partner, because you want a technology partner that can grow with you.
True. I mean, you don't want to go through that whole exercise all over again. I mean, that's the big risk, isn't it? I mean, if you go down a path without all of this, all of these checks and balances along the way, and just really making sure, I love how you call it matchmaking, that there's that matchmaking done. And then you implement something that, even if it works for a short while, if it's not going to be something that's a longer term solution for a company based on where they're at, they have to go through the whole thing again. And then the skepticism comes in, then inertia comes in.
Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted you but
no.
There's just so much that you're saying that's so great. I love it.
I know. We could talk for a whole day.
Yes, we could.
About this. We could. I could tell. But yes, you're absolutely 100% right. If we don't take the time to do this right, and the temptation, and I absolutely get it. I have the same when I choose software for my business. The temptation is to just buy it, just start using it. But I can't stress that enough. Slowing down will allow you to speed up later. So take care of the matchmaking part, and then the implementation is going to be so much easier, because we would have taken the time during the matchmaking to actually scope what do we need from this technology. Now, the other benefit of that is that usually we do an exercise right at the very beginning. I'm going to jump back, which is called the North Star exercise. So we get our business to really focus on, what's the North Star that we're driving towards? What are the top 3 things that we really need this program of transformation to deliver on? Is it better, I'm going to say something very generic, but is it better staff experience? Maybe we've analyzed it and we've said that our staff experience is really not where we want it to be, because we understand that the business game is played by the business owner looks after the staff looks after the client looks after the business, and the business looks after the business owner, who then can choose to contribute to community and do a whole bunch of other beautiful things. So as a business owner, we may say one of our North Star elements is that it needs to be really easy, intuitive, and really provide an experience to our team members so that they are more inclined to use it on a day-to-day. So now that we are in a demo, and we're trying to choose between two platforms, or we're trying to choose, do we need a custom staff app to be developed for an extra $30,000? Well, suddenly we can make that choice now. We're not tempted anymore because we know what the North Star is that we need to deliver on.
Yes. Yeah,
So
that's exactly right.
There's so much power in that. So yeah, all the little steps that we do before. Now let's assume we have found the right technology. All the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. Then it comes to implementation. Again, my strong recommendation is know that your platform will cover everything that you need, but then first focus on the 80-20. What's the 20% that's going to give me 80% of the outcomes? And let's focus on getting that right first. And even go live with that one. I'm not saying go live with a half-built system. I would never say that. But focus your training for your wider team on that 20% that gets them to use the platform, because we're going to have adoption challenges and change resistance and all of those pieces. But if we can demonstrate to our team that it is a positive change and the way we used to do things is harder than the way we're going to do things, then you can take the next 12 months to roll out the rest of the system, but get them to focus on what matters first. It's going to increase adoption.
But again, I mean, the number of either software AI vendors, AI consultants, technology consultants, software providers, anyone in the technology space, they see themselves as product providers or, SaaS, software as a service provider. But they actually forget that they're business enablers. It just happens to be the technology that they're representing that's facilitating that process. And by you helping a business to clarify its North Star, as you call it, I would imagine that for a lot of businesses, it's the first time that they've really had to think about, well, what is our North Star? What are our priorities? If we had to, we've got a big wish list over here, but if we just narrow the focus down to our top 3, what are the outcomes that we need to drive? And then would clearly, be incredibly helpful just in and of itself, I imagine.
Yes, 100%. You're no longer choosing between 300 features.
Right.
You're asking yourself which one of those 300 delivers on my North Star. And I'll tell you another thing, Ingrid, that just it makes my skin itchy. But I know it's part of the game and it's part of business. I see this trend in software vendors, and the trend that I see is there is a desire to shorten the time between purchase and go live, as if this was the best thing to ever happen. You buy it today, you're live in 7 days. Now, it depends what software we're talking about, but if we're talking about an ERP piece of software and we're trying to bring the rollout from 12 months to 2 months,
yes,
the amount of emotional turmoil that it is going to create in the people, the amount of operational disruption that is going to create, the amount of data confusion, half the data is here, half the data is there, simply because we're chasing this shorter and shorter and shorter implementation time frame as a badge of honor. It's making my skin itchy a little bit.
Yeah, I'm getting anxious thinking about it. Yeah.
Sorry for gifting that. I know why it is happening, and on the surface, it is so appealing. It's like a candy covered in sugar. It sounds so good, but what's going to happen if we truly go live in this short amount of time? Are we going to break the business? It's a risk we need to consider. And if your business is systemized, and your team is ready for the change, and you've involved them in the process, and everything is humming along beautifully, then maybe it can be done. But in my experience, typically that's not the case. And vendors are responsible for the tech side unless the client is educated or has a support system or strong advisors, whether they be sales or their accountant or their business coach who is supporting them on the other side. That's where it falls apart. Tech is easy. It's the human and the process and connecting the tech to the business outcome that typically falls apart.
No,
So
you're absolutely spot on. I mean, you know, it's incredibly self-serving of the software or the technology vendor to, you know, to talk about, you know, shortness, you know, from the decision to implementation, because that's a shorter sales cycle for them, and it's good revenue. And now I'm not talking anyone out of, you know, being, you know, expediting their sales cycles, but not at the expense of clients. And when I think any vendor, whether it's people like us, Val, or anyone for that matter, thinks about themselves first at the expense of their clients, that they take that transactional, more immediate mindset, which usually ends up costing them in the long run anyway. Because as you said, you know, that you could potentially break a business. You could certainly break some people within that business, particularly those who have been tasked with the project management or the, you know, the project rollout. You know, that can really destroy someone's connection to the business. I mean, there's just so many things that can go wrong. So I really appreciate how you said that. And I also really appreciated how you talked again about, you know, have we tested it with all of the users? You know, are they comfortable using it? Have we ironed out any of those little hurdles that could get in the way of them being able to utilise this?
100%. It's trust at the end of the day. To me, the currency is trust, right? So
I tell you what, I mean, listeners, Val approached me a little while ago, and I was thinking, you know, I don't often get approached for people to come on to the podcast unless they're trying to, you know, kind of, you know, spruik themselves. And so I'm a little bit skeptical. But as soon as I met Val, we started to talk. We were so aligned with the way that we thought about our clients and our whole business methodologies. I got it, and it really meant even more that's why Val approached me, because of the alignment, and I just thought that was incredible.
yes.
So I want to come now to one of my questions around sales enablement, because there's a lot of talk at the moment about agentic AI and the ability, you know, I mean, there's AI that makes outbound calls, there's AI that makes outbound emails, there's AI that responds to emails and responds to inbound calls. What sales enablement and agentic tools support a business in prospect outreach, engagement and nurturing from your experience? And I know every business is different, but there must be some that are standouts rather than being used as almost like gimmicks. You know, like, look at us, look at how futuristic we are. We're reaching out to our client base and destroying the relationship in the process because we haven't really thought it through by using AI or agentic technology.
That's right. Absolutely. You're spot on, Ingrid. I had an experience recently with an AI call bot. And for the very first time, I always play along because, you know, it's bit of an interest of mine, and I have fun trying to trip them up.
Okay.
It was the very first time that I was positively impressed by it. Right. And the first thing that it did right, in my opinion, is it first introduced itself by saying, I am an AI sales assistant.
Wow.
Would that be okay to talk to me? If not, say no, and I'll put you in touch with a human. I'm like, yes, it is okay. So we're actually upfront about it, first of all. I love that.
Okay.
And I'm assuming there will be a lot of individuals who will say, no, I want to talk to a human. That's fine. Yeah. But we're giving them the choice.
Yes.
And that matters.
Okay.
So that's one of the right, I'm going to use the right and wrong for simplicity, but the right way of using a tool, because we are actually making the user aware and offering them a choice.
Okay.
The other one that comes to mind as far as sales enablement. So we do work with a few no-code platforms. We work with off-the-shelf platform, fully custom, and right in the middle sits no-code. Think about it as Lego pieces of software that you can stack in different shapes to build the software that you want.
Oh,
That's what no code is, right?
Oh.
And there's one where it has done a lot of work in their AI program in the last quite few years. And the beauty of it is that I've seen a use case where it doesn't ever replace the human, but it nudges the sales team. It supports the sales team. So for example, there's an AI assistant sitting in the inbox of a sales rep.
Yep.
And let's say that a lead requests for a proposal. The AI agent will prompt by asking, well, do you want some help creating this proposal for this particular service? Yes. So we then go back to our knowledge base and we grab this template for this service and put it together with that template from this other business and put together the proposal for this combined service A plus service B. We present the draft, and in 0.5 seconds, the sales rep has something to review. Then let's assume we're needing to send it off, and would you like to organize a follow-up call within 7 days? Sure, let's book the call. So we book the meeting with 3 representatives, the CEO, the CFO, and someone from the board, let's say. Then we get to the day of the sales call, and suddenly there is 7 stakeholders on the client side. Now, as a sales rep, what I would be doing is quickly open up another tab, rush on LinkedIn. What were their names again when they introduced themselves? What are their roles? Who are they? How do I how do I talk to them and communicate in a way that they can respond to, right? Now, the AI could do that for me and say, well, I've noticed there is 4 new individuals in the call. Here's their LinkedIn profile. They are the ops manager, the marketing, the sales coordinator, and there is someone from the client team. And here is how the value of our service or our product speaks to each of their role. Here's potential wins we can give them. So now suddenly, if I talk to Mary, who is an ops manager, I know exactly what to say to tell her what how our product is going to help her in her role. Or I can make an inference of what would that look like and include her instead of going, ooh, I don't know who Mary is.
Yeah. That's incredible. I mean, when you think about the edge that can give you in a competitive RFP situation, at a first impression, that's, I mean, they're the little differentiators, aren't they, that can really make all of the difference. What's that AI called? Oh, these are the no-code ones, are they?
Yes.
There's the no-code. Right, so you can build this sort of stuff out. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, this is a no-code platform that has an AI assistant that can be built within it. The beauty of those types of platforms is that you can build whatever you want. And this particular one I have in mind has a strong attention to AI. And they also have a really good ethical methodology in the way they go about it. Again, they don't go necessarily for the shiny object, but they still recognize. And as a matter of fact, I think I went to Sydney a few weeks ago, and someone from stage was it was an AI convention, and someone from stage was asked very cheeky question, as you always do when you're speaking on stage, and this gentleman was asked, because everybody wants to put you on the spot, right? They have fun.
Right. Yeah.
So this gentleman was asked, what can AI not do? It can do everything, but what can it not do?
Good question. Yeah.
And I was extremely impressed with this gentleman's aplomb and elegance in answering the same thing that I would have answered, which is the same thing you would have answered, Ingrid, which is it can't replace relationships and human connection.
Yeah.
But it can support them and it can enhance them.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what good technology should do.
Yes.
It enhances the work we do. That's why when we see those headlines that say AI will replace us, and sure, there might be certain types of roles and jobs where AI is the perfect replacement, but it's never going to replace the human. It may just change the task of the human from doing 90% operational nitty-gritty work and 10% thinking. Yes. It actually elevates that role in the business to we will become a manager of AI. Yes. We will be responsible to think so strategically because the quality of the question we ask the AI to answer will determine the quality of the output we get. So if anything, AI is going to make us better.
Yeah. And I think that as humans, we're going to need a higher order in terms of our skill set, around, that, like you said, the quality of the questions will determine the quality of the answer that we get of AI. And I find that that's true in human interactions too. But I think because it's going to take away a lot of those task-based, jobs that take a lot of time, we can redirect our energy and our expertise into the human connection part, into the influencing, into the negotiation, into the just two people really building a strong relationship and a firm foundation for how you wish to, continue.
That's right. Have you seen any particularly valuable examples of agentic AI in sales specifically? Because it's your domain expertise.
Well, funny you should mention that. Val, because I actually have a very dear friend who has this. He's on his third startup, 3 years into this one, and he's about to launch. I can't mention the new launch name until he officially launches it, which I believe is at the end of this week. But it's something that I will be taking to market.
Amazing.
Because I really believe in it. And it's one of those AIs that you just mentioned that sort of sits there. It's like an additional head count, but it's a 24/7 head count. And what it does is it sits over the top of a CRM. And so I know that, CRM, Salesforce, et cetera, have got, AI built into them. But what this one does is it works like a Perplexity or a Chat GPT. So you live in that sort of homepage, but it's actually going out into your CRM. It's actually going out into LinkedIn. It's actually going out into, the metaverse. And gathering the information that you might need. So what it will enable a salesperson to do is to be able to record, on a voice memo, the content of a meeting, and then upload that beautifully to the CRM, and then ask the agentic AI to say, okay, well, how will we summarize this call and set, the next steps for this meeting? And can we also now set that meeting, with that and away it'll go. And then as far as my preparation for that call might be, it's going to draw all of that down. So very similar to what you talked about.
Yes.
The other thing that it enables a sales leader to do, which I think is very appealing, is, so if you can imagine, I know you would come across this, Val, you're a sales leader and you've got this dashboard of all of the lagging metrics, which says nothing. Like that, they're the numbers that I'm going to take to the ELT meeting. They're the numbers that I'm going to present to the board because that's what they care about. But when it comes to my job of leading people, coaching people, managing people, I need to have up-to-date, information that's going to give me crystallized focus about how to coach my people better to enable them to land more deals, to shorten sales cycles, and to improve conversion rates. They're the things that I need to know. So I don't just need to be able to go into each person's view of their CRM, have a look at their pipeline. That's great. But if I ask the AI, what do I need to focus on with this person to enable them to achieve their sales outcomes by the end of this quarter, it's going to tell me that. How fantastic is that? That doesn't mean that, job done. I've then got to have that coaching conversation. But it takes all of that, that legwork out of, of me preparing beforehand. And so
I love that.
That's definitely one that I'm all behind.
I love that. And I love how beautiful of, yes, there is a tactical, operational aspect of it, but how beautiful is it that we are utilizing the pattern finding and all of the other strengths that AI has to support a human to have a conversation with another human about how to do better. And that is, we will never replace that conversation. Even if you could have an AI who would coach the team, and I'm sure that's possible. Going back to what we started the conversation with, we could, but should we?
Yes, we could, but should we? I'm just going to use that as a bit of a pin for our conversation, Val, because I would love to have you back another time, and maybe what we do next time is I might bring some case studies with me, and we can talk through, you know, some of the things for those clients or companies to consider, you know, based on that. Would you be up for that?
Absolutely. I love me a good case study, because I'm sure there's a lot of listeners that are, you know, listening to us bouncing and geeking out about sales and technology, and I'm enjoying it. But I'm sure there's someone out there sitting, okay, this is all really good, but what does it look like in practice for me? And so if we can look at different types of businesses, we can make an example. And I often find it's easier for us as leaders of our own business to have a look at someone else's example, even give advice to them. But it's so hard for us to give advice to ourselves. So I'm loving that idea. Let's do it, Ingrid. Yeah,
let's do it. And I'm going to introduce you to that friend of mine too, because I think that the two of you just make so much sense, I think, for the synergies of your respective businesses to come together.
Let's do it.
Okay, fantastic. Lovely speaking with you, Val. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ingrid.
Okay, you've been listening to The Sales Revolution. I'm Ingrid Maynard. And to find out how the Sales Doctor can help your organisation to transform its revenue, growth and profit, visit us on our website at www.thesalesdoctor.com.au. I look forward to your company next episode. Bye for now.